Hello, everybody. This is a contest entry that I have been putting off and putting off just because I didn't know what album I was going to listen to. And I had plans to do one album, and I've had it in my car sitting in my door. It's a CD, and I didn't listen to that one. Instead, there was another album that I listened to, and I thought, you know what, that's a better album to do this for. So, with all that being said, let me backtrack a little bit. This is for everybody's good friend Larry Graves. He is doing a contest called When I'm 65, celebrating his 65th birthday, which is coming up. Larry has a very generous prize going along with that, but that's not why I'm doing this. Larry's Larry's channel has been one that's helped me out quite a bit, especially about a year or so ago when he was doing regular live chats. I was hopping in on those with Glenn Kellaway, Roberts on my turntable, Rich Strickler, Randy Nelson. We were all kind of doing pretty, semi-regular live streams on Larry's channel, and he was more than gracious to kind of make us the core group. So it wasn't just me hopping into it. It was Larry reaching out and asking, and I thought that was very, very kind. And Larry's become a good friend through YouTube. We've exchanged some business dealings. Larry sent me a very nice box of Van Morrison CDs probably 6 or 7 months ago. We kind of struck up a deal. He was giving away a bunch of CDs. Well, he was selling a bunch of CDs and sent some my way. He sent me a CD, an Elvis Costello CD with Glenn Kellaway when Glenn Kellaway came down here. So he's been very good to my channel. He's posted my videos before. We chat back and forth off camera. So he's just a good guy. But Larry has an interesting contest, and like I said, kind of a difficult one, just because I had to pick an album. So what he wants us to do is, first of all, to essentially say, yes, I did listen to this album. I have listened to it in its entirety, and he wants us to take an album that we've listened to, preferably several years ago, for some people decades ago, an album that didn't really strike us, or an album that didn't really sit with us the first time, or the first 10 times, whatever it might be, and to go back, give it another listen, give it some deep listening without any kind of distraction. Like, he doesn't want you listening to the album while you're running in the gym or whatever it might be. So just to really focus on the music. And so, like I said, I was thinking about doing an album about Beck, but instead I was at my apartment one day and was listening to jazz while I was doing some writing, and I put this album in, and I said, that's actually a lot better than I thought it was. The album I'm talking about is this album. It's called Steppin' Out. It's by Herb Alpert, of course, from Herb Alpert and the Tijuana Brass Band, as well as his wife, Lonnie Hall, who is an accomplished jazz singer in her own right. This is an album that came out 2013 through Shout Factory. I believe this is his 35th record. I might be off by a record or two, but I believe that's what it is. And it's mostly an instrumental album of Herb Alpert, playing trumpet. And again, I first bought this album. I was at Barnes & Noble, I remember, with my mom, probably around 2013 or so. So it's been 10 or 11 years. And this album was in the $5 section. And I knew Herb Alpert, and my mom was a big Herb Alpert fan. She, grew up with his music and loved his Whipped Cream and Other Delights, obviously, like The Lonely Bowl, and his Christmas album she liked a lot. So she knew Herb Alpert quite a bit, and so I was looking at it, and she said that would be a good album to probably get. And she doesn't follow Herb Alpert, into the modern era, but she saw Herb Alpert on it, and like I said, I knew who he was vaguely, and I hadn't really been getting into jazz much, instrumental jazz especially. But I said, yeah, I'll get it, and I bought it. And I remember I went home within that week or so. Again, this was probably when I was 17 years old, something like that. And I remember the first song, which is Putting on the Ritz, the Irving Berlin song, came on. And it's kind of got this weird, and I still have kind of similar feelings about Putting on the Ritz, as well as there are a couple others on here that I can't remember offhand that have a similar kind of production. It's almost like dance, like a dance beat, kind of like a club kind of beat, which was really weird. and then the vocals are, I think they're co-sung with Lonnie Hall and Herb Alpert. Herb Alpert does sing a little bit. He's got a very limited range, but I mean, he had the big hit "Disguise in Love," which was the Burt Bacharach tune back in the early '70s, late '60s. So it's weird. It was just like, I don't know. It was just it didn't fit what I liked, and I think that's initially what I remembered about this album was that beat that kind of plays on 2 or 3 of these tracks. Like there's 16 tracks on here, and some of them are big tracks. Our Song by Art Pepper, not Taylor Swift. I Only Have Eyes for You, Good Morning Sunshine, Good Morning Mr. Sunshine, What'll I Do, the Irving Berlin track, Côte d'Azur, Le'Veon Rose, And the Angels Sing, Johnny Mercer, Skylark, and then he does a remake of The Lonely Bull as the last track. So I remember listening to it that one time, again, probably 10 or 11 years ago, and just kind of saying, that's okay. I'm kind of glad it was only $5. So I put it on my shelf, and I kid you not, that was the only time I've ever listened to this album. So, we're going on, well over a decade since I've listened to this album, and I listened to it a couple weeks ago. And again, I was writing, and I remember sitting up and thinking, the songs on here that are good are really good, and the ones that are more traditional jazz are really good. But again, it was those tracks that had kind of like that dance beat to it that they put me off. But I will say I did enjoy this. And if you're interested in any kind of trivia about the organization of my record collection, my CD collection, this album sits as number 2 in my CD order. So the first album that I have is Whipped Cream and Other Delights, is the very first CD in my rows of CDs, and this is number 2. So a little fun fact for you about my record collection. So again, it's sat stagnant. I never got rid of it. Actually, I was thinking about selling it not too long ago without going back to listening to it, but I'm going to keep it. And I think if it hadn't been for Larry in the back of my mind, I probably wouldn't have pulled this out. I might have ended up giving it away, but I am going to keep it. And if you like Herb Alpert, check it out on Spotify. Try some of the more traditional tunes. Listen to Putting on the Ritz too. It's probably not going to be your cup of tea, but try it out. But the vast majority of this is pretty much straight ahead jazz. So yeah. Anyway, and fun fact: the cover was painted by Herb Alpert. It's called Tango Americano. It is acrylic by Herb Alpert, and it kind of looks like it could be people dancing, or it could also be a trumpet. So anyway, Stepping Out, Herb Alpert with Lonnie Hall. Check it out if you like jazz. So there you go, Larry. Hope that works for you, my friend. I love watching your videos, and I appreciate all the support you've given me over the last year and a half or so. So anyway, y'all know his channel. I'll leave a link to his contest video below. And yeah, we'll talk to you soon. In the meantime, y'all be good. Take care. Subscribe, all that good stuff. And we'll see you in the next one. Bye now.